Hi guys, my name is Nonima Digela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about when a witness becomes evidence managers. Senzo Meyiwa trial. Now, before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you will be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. So there's a moment in every compromised investigation. There is a moment when witnesses stop being sources and start becoming systems. They don't just tell police what happened. They decide which facts matter, which details disappear, and which version survives long enough to reach court. That moment is invisible. But once it happens, truth no longer emerges. It is curated. And in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, that shift is impossible to ignore. Okay, now let's get into all the details of why, how, all of that changed, okay? Because this happened here. We can't ignore that, as I already said. Now, early statements are chaotic. We all know this. Okay, let's talk about the transition from memory to maintenance, how all of that happens. Ne? Early statements are chaotic. Late testimony is tidy. That alone should alarm any court because human memory does not naturally improve with time. It simplifies. When a witness begins to clean up sequence, close gaps, explain away inconsistencies, preempt challenges, they are no longer remembered. They are maintaining a structure. This is how witnesses become evidence managers. Point number one. Clock it. Number two, why inside the house witnesses are prone to this. Inside the house witnesses carry pressurized at once. They carry three pressures at once. Ne? Pressurized environment, pressurized everything situation. Number one, trauma, exposure. Number one, trauma. Number two, exposure. Number three, dependence on the state's narrative for safety. Catch that? Number one, trauma. Number two, exposure. Number three, dependency on the state's narrative for safety. Once all police select a version, the witness feels it instantly. Not an instruction, but as a signal. This is the version that keeps moving forward. And movement matters because stalled narratives attract scrutiny. Moving narratives attract protection. Point number three, unwritten role assignment. At some point, every key witness understands their role. This is what I must say, This is what I must say in order to stay consistent. This is what I must stay consistent on also. This is what must never change. This is what I can forget. This is what I must never introduce. This is not coaching. It is alignment. Alignment happens when investigators repeat a version. Prosecutors ask reinforcing questions. Alternative parts quietly disappear. This witness adapts instinctively. That is what happens in those situations. Number four, the second docket effect, why management becomes necessary. In the Senzo Meyiwa case, the existence of another docket creates a silent gravity. It tells inside witnesses something dangerous. Another version existed and did not survive. Once that knowledge sets in, the witness's job subtly changes. Not to tell everything, but to protect the version that remains alive. But that is a very full-time job kind of vibes. Okay? That is evidence management. Point number five, identification as an anchor point. Identification becomes the anchor. Once a witness points in court, everything else must align around that moment. Contradictions elsewhere are tolerated, but that central identification must never collapse. So details start orbiting it. Memory bends toward the anchor. That's why confidence often increases over time, even when accuracy should decrease. The witness isn't lying. They are defending the structure they helped build because they were part of the process. They became part of the process and they need to maintain that process of that narrative. Okay. Number 6, why small details start to move. Here is how courts can spot evidence management. Location shifts, times blur, tools change, phones appear and disappear, sequence tighten unnaturally. These aren't random mistakes. They are patches. They exist to stop the structure from cracking. That's why contradictions don't scatter. They cluster around logistics, not headlines. The headline must survive. The rest is negotiable. That's what being a manager of evidence becomes or boils down to. Number 7, the most dangerous phrase in court. There is one phrase that signals evidence management instantly. I don't remember that. Most witnesses love that. They don't remember at all when it comes to certain things. And then they will be like, I'm not sure about the date. That one is even better. But when they say, I don't remember that, something is off there. Not said once, but said selectively. Remembered the intruder, the struggle, the shot. Forgotten who arrived first, what police asked, who suggested what was said immediately after. Selective amnesia is not medical. It is structural. Point number 8, why courts struggle to see this? Because evidence managers don't look suspicious. They look composed, cooperative, emotionally invested, consistent when it matters. They sound credible, and credibility is often mistaken for reliability. That confusion has cost justice system across the world, and it is costing this one too. That one. And guess what? That is exactly how they were behaving. Umthokozi Sithwala, uTumelo Madlala, uZandile Khumalo. That is exactly how they were behaving. Composed, cooperative, emotionally invested, consistent, weight matters. They sound credible until cross-examination at least. Until cross-examination at least. That's where things change, when it's cross-examination. Because the cross-examination is nobody's friend. It's nobody's friend. Okay. Point number 9, there is one thing that we must learn. There's a case study that came out of this. When Tumelo Madlala testifies, the question is no longer, did he say something? It is, when did his role shift from witness to manager? Because he was busy managing the evidence there and the narrative. And once that shift happens, no amount of sincerity can reverse it. There's absolutely nothing that he can do right now. He came to court, gave his so-called witness testimony, and he left. Whatever comes out of it now, whether he survives it or not, we will see at the time when the case is ending. But Tumelo knows what mess he created there. Now, justice does not fail because witnesses lie. It fails because witnesses learn what must be kept alive. When witnesses manage evidence, truth becomes fragile and verdicts become performances. And by the time the court realizes it, the story is already sealed. That is exactly the same thing that happened when it comes to the Senzo Mewa case. Anyway, drop your comments in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. Tell me what you think about this. Do you think that Otumelo were nothing but evidence managers, not witnesses in that courtroom? They did not try, not even once, to assist the court in anything, but they were trying to save their asses when it comes to the entire situation because of the second docket. There is that dark cloud above them, the second docket. Let's talk with comment section. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.